What is going on, guys, and welcome to the ultimate Dune Awakening solo player guide. If you are a lone wanderer, a survivalist, or simply a player who prefers the freedom of going alone, then this video is just for you. We will take a look at the best solo classes, best weapons, what are the essential resources, how does smart base building look like, what things should you prioritize for crafting, and the most effective survival strategies. So, I've gathered all the information that you need to thrive without relying on anything else besides yourself. And before we continue, thanks to the Time Saver, their pro website that provides Dune Awakening boosting, custom-based building, all types of items and the currency, with a cheap price and fast delivery. They also have over 4.9 stars on Trustpilot, and this website is really worth a try. So click my link in the description to check them out. So let's start off with the best solo class. Choosing the right class as a solo player will define your entire experience in Dune. You need something that lets you survive the brutal environment, handle the combat on your own, and minimize dependence on the others. One class clearly rises above the rest for solo play, and it is the Trooper. It offers survivability, mobility, and the ability to gather and fight efficiently without a backup. It's designed for independence and is ideal for roaming the desert and defending what's yours. If you're playing solo, then this class will give you the strongest foundation, without needing allies to cover your weaknesses. The Trooper overall is heavily armored combat-focused character, with very strong survival skills. Their starting ability, the Shigver Cable, will allow for quick movement and the combat tactics, which provides both mobility and the offensive capabilities. Also, alternatively, the Mentant archetype will focus on intelligence, strategy, and tactical thinking. Mentals have also decent abilities, like the scanning enemies for information, which can also be useful for solo players who prefer a more strategic approach. However, for the rest of the classes, they're not bad, but just offer different kind of skills. Next up, let's take a look at the salvaged metal, which is a critical resource for nearly every part of your solo journey, because we will use it for equipment, crafting stations, base defenses, and even the vehicles. However, it's not just lying around. You will need to know where to look, how to spot high-value wreckage, and how to gather quickly before the cache environment, or even the other players that can catch up to you. So, in the early stages, particularly during the Getting Equipped quest, you will need to collect 65 units of the salvaged metal to craft essential equipment like the Mala gun. And to locate this resource, you need to head northwest from your starting position after the initial worm encounter. There you will find a scavenger camped, marked by a tent and a rocky structure. You need to be prepared to face hostile NPCs guarding area, and after defeating them, you can loot surroundings for the salvaged metal. Additionally, you can use the cutlery tool on the nearby metal structures to extract even more of this valuable resource. However, if you prefer to avoid combat, then you can also find salvaged metal by exploring the debris along the base of the rocky formation near the camp. Next, let's take a look at the best equipment. Your armor is not just about stats, it's your second skin. As a solo player, every piece of gear will need to work harder. It has to protect you from the environment, give you enough speed to escape danger, and last long enough to keep you alive when no one else is around. The best equipment setup will strike a balance between durability, mobility, and environmental resistance. For your starting set, we want to go with the heavy armor options. You have heavy armor, a medium level armor, or the steel suit for exploration, which is light. We will be up close and personal, and that's why heavy armor is the best, as it allows us to rush into enemies with the maximum defenses. However, if you leverage your Holdman shield, then you can also use other pieces of armor while leveling. On top of this, weapons are also important, especially when you're alone. You need weapons that are versatile, reliable, and deadly in both PvE and PvP. A solo player can't rely on teammates to cover weaknesses, so your weapon choice must reflect a complete tactical toolkit. Whether you're taking out raiders, defending your base, or dealing with aggressive wildlife, you need the stopping power, accuracy, and efficiency. And the best solo weapons, in my opinion, are the shotguns and other short-range weapons. The first available shotgun is the GRDA-44, available at the Iron Technology. The distributor is a good early game option as well for breaking the shielded enemies, which is also available in the Iron Tech. This is an automatic weapon that will be replaced later by the Drill Shot FK7, which is a shotgun built to break the shielded enemies from the mid-range. These two shotguns will be ultimately our 1-2 punch combo. You can also swap in rifle for the longer range engagements, or if you prefer, you could work this setup with the melee gameplay and a restructure skill. Then next we have another important part in Dune Awakening for solo players, and it is the base building. The first step to setting up your base is finding a solid ground. You want to avoid the shifting sands, which are unstable and extremely dangerous. Sandstorms regularly sweep through the desert, and they are ever-present threat, so your safest option is to build on rocky terrain, where your structures can actually hold. And once you've picked a spot, you can start constructing your base by using the modular parts. There's a variety of design themes to choose from, allowing you to fully customize the look and feel of your home. Whether you just want something simple to get by or a large impressive headquarters, the creative control is entirely yours. However, keep in mind that in rockier areas, you're still not totally safe. The sandstorm still can hit hard, and this is where your base defensive energy shield will come in. The shield keeps sandworms and storms at the bay. Another cool feature is the ability to create and use the base blueprints. After building a base you're proud of, you can save it as the blueprint, which can be traded or sold to other players. These blueprints will act as the templates, allowing other players to replicate your base layout exactly. So, if you got an eye for design, then you can turn your creativity into a valuable commodity. Next we have crafting, which is essential for survival and progression, combining resource gathering with unlocking blueprints called schematics and investing into the intel points. Schematics are consumable items that let you craft specific unique gear, while intel is a currency spent into the research tree to unlock crafting recipes, upgrades and the consumables. To craft, you need to first unlock the recipe in the search tab, and then build the required crafting station. Each station serves as a distinct purpose, such as fabricating weapons, armor and survival gear, even vehicles or refining raw materials. Crafting stations will require materials to build and must be connected to a power generator, making the base planning and resource management very critical. As you acquire more schematics and spend more intel, you will gain access to the higher tier recipes and more powerful equipment. Some advanced items or the stations may also require imperial permits, which adds another layer of progression. Overall, the crafting is a multi-step process, which begins with unlocking recipes, gathering resources, constructing powered stations, and then producing essential tools like weapons, armor, and the vehicle. So let's cover all the main materials. First, the two most important resources for crafting are the schematics and the intel. These two will help to unlock recipes that enable you to craft more items, consumables, and uniques. Schematics are one-time use items that will unlock unique items in the game, and intel helps you to unlock items from the research tree. Think of them as the currency for your research shop, so you can find schematics through the Dune Awakening's dungeons and the deserts, as well as purchase them from the vendors. At the start you want to get the basic construction kit, which will help you to create crafting stations and more. All of these crafting stations will require a powerful generator to function. First, we want to get the basic fabricator. A basic fabricator will cost 75 salvage materials, which are found in the various chests and the areas around the desert. A public fabricator is also available in the various areas like the Arakeen or the Harko village. However, these fabricators will not have a storage, and there's even a chance that your items could be stolen. Besides the basic fabricator, there are specific fabricators for each category, like consumables, variables, weapons, and unique items. The weapon fabricator, as the name suggests, will help to craft weapons and ammunition, and all of these fabricators will need to be placed near the sub-thief console to work. And then lastly, we got the vehicle fabricator. These ones are used to create vehicles from their specific schematics. However, vehicles in Dune Awakening will require a lot of rare materials that you need to grind a lot for. So first, focus on equipment and your gathering efficiency, and then only start thinking about traveling speed in the form of a desert bike and etc. And then the last thing you need to understand are the refineries. Specific materials and minerals will require refineries to process them further into the crafting items. There are currently 3 refineries in the game. So first we got the ore refineries. These will convert various ores into ingots for material crafting. Currently, the copper, steel and iron ores can be turned into ingots for a basic ore refinery. And the final upgrade will yield even more materials from fewer ore, which gives you a huge buff in the late game. Then second, we have the chemical refineries. These will help in crafting of the synthetic items in the game, such as the fuel cells and the silicon, and upgrading them will give you more resources with the fewer raw materials. And lastly, we have the spice refineries. You can process spice sand into the spice melagi, which is a highly sought out source of the energy, and you can sell these spices for advanced crafting later. Also, if you upgrade this, then you will help to produce even more spices efficiently. And now, last but not least, let's take a look at the best tips and tricks for the solo players. So first, you want to regularly upgrade your steel suit or armor. Your steel suit is vital for survival, as it recycles bodily fluids to maintain hydration. As for the armor, it can help you to stay in the fight for longer, by mitigating some damage. I recommend to invest into the upgrades to enhance its efficiency, and provide better protection against the harsh desert environment. Then second, collect the plant fiber whenever possible. Plant fiber is a scarce yet essential resource. You want to gather it as much as you can whenever encountered, as it's very critical for crafting and survival need. You can never have enough of plant fiber, so don't forget about it. Next, you also need to manage the hydration and the stamina wisely. Your survival will depend on maintaining the hydration, so you should not take chances and go exploring without the proper resources. So keep an eye out on your thirst level and never get dehydrated. Another thing to keep in mind is your stamina. It won't regenerate unless you stand still, so make sure you take your time and allow your stamina to get back up. If you are in combat, then spend your stamina wisely and regenerate when you get a chance. On top of this, never forget to use your blood extractor to harvest the blood and store it in the blood sacks from the enemies that you defeated. Blood is one of the most important resources in the game, and you can even drink it if you're suffering from dehydration. And then finally, when entering a new region, you won't be able to see anything on the map, so you always want to find a high ground and deploy a survey probe. This item will reveal the area on your map, which allows you to see key areas and avoid walking blindly. Make sure to find a very high advantage point to maximize the effectiveness of the survey probe. I strongly recommend you to never explore an area without using the probe first. So, let me know what is your favorite Dune Awakening solo player strategy or any other tips that you found in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, then you definitely don't want to miss my previous videos where I showed the best class tier list, bunch of cool builds and much more. So click the screen now and I'll see you in the next one.